accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Board of Adjustment of the Township of Franklin has been provided. Board members, applicant, professionals, and members of the public, please speak directly in the microphones so that our recording secretary can properly process minutes. Applicants and professionals, please fill out the sheet on the table when you have completed your testimony. Thank you all, and please call the roll.
Cheryl Bethia. Here. Chairman Thomas, Richard Prokranik, Gary Rosenthal, and Faraz Khan all had asked to be excused this evening, just so you're aware.
Okay.
Joel Reese.
Yes.
Alan Rich.
Yes.
Robert Shepard.
Yes.
Basim Verdas.
Yes.
And Chairman Thomas.
Yes. Regular minutes, meeting minutes, July 7, 2022. We have a motion.
I move to accept.
I'll second. Oh, no, I can't second.
Oh, no, you can't say. The only people who can vote on those are Joel Reese, Alan Rich, Basim Verdas, and Richard Thomas. Oh, my God.
I'll second.
Robert Thomas. Who's going to second? Basim? Thank you. Okay, Cheryl, Joel Reese,
Yes.
Basim Verdas,
Yes.
and Chairman Thomas.
Yes, regular meetings, August 4th, 2022.
I move to accept.
I'll second.
Second. Oh, I'm late. That's what we want.
Cheryl
folks.
Bethia?
Enthusiasm.
Yes.
Joel Reese.
Yes.
Alan Rich,
Yes.
Robert Shepard.
Yes.
Basim Verdas,
Yes.
and Chairman Thomas.
Yes, okay, moving to discussion, Rutgers Community Christian Church, ZBA 16-00024, extension of time.
Yep. Jim Stahl from Boris Golden Foley, Vignola, Hyman and Stahl, and Lamford, here for this matter. This is a discussion item to request an extension of the existing resolution and some minor changes. I want to call Mr. Jeff, if you will just stand. I think we swear you in since you are going to testify. Mr. Jeff Reynolds. Mr. Mute, it's a power. There you go.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Jeff, be seated. State your name, spelling your last name, please.
Jeffrey D. Reynolds, Reynolds,
And by whom you're presently employed.
the Reynolds Group Incorporated?
And you're a landscape architect, is that correct?
Yes, that is
And
correct.
just so the board is aware, you're not an engineer, but you can testify as a landscape architect, is that correct?
That is correct.
And your office is responsible for the preparation of the plans as to which we will be speaking, is that correct?
That is correct.
Let's cut to the chase if we can. This is a request for an extension of the existing resolution, ZBA 16-24. You have all the information. I don't want to do a Q&A. Please advise the board, what is the basis and why do we request an extension?
We went before the planning board on 9/1 of 2016, and I testified at that time. The resolution was passed on March of 2017, and the timeline has gone on, and we feel that we need an extension potentially because we have not done anything to the property. Actually, we haven't been compliant yet with the approval of 2016. So we're here trying to get on compliance.
To please the board, and I'm not testifying, but I'm representing that we're not sure in today's climate whether or not the Permanent Extension Act extended these items, whether the COVID Extension Act extended them. So we just want the time period, let's just say another 12 months, and for two reasons. We want to utilize the well water at this time for use as opposed to a requirement in the resolution to convert that to irrigation and connect to public water, and to give us time to complete the sanitary and any other open items. Is that correct, Jeff?
That is correct.
Is there anything I've missed on that request?
No, we just want to recommit. We were going to decommission the wells, and now we're not going to decommission. We want to use the wells as they have been used in the past.
However, in the event that the population of the use increases and the township requires a connection to the public water, then we would and decommission the wells. Am I correct?
That is correct.
That's really the gravamen of my request, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and basically your delay is partially attributed to the inability to get things done efficiently because of the COVID virus and other issues connected with that. And when do you want this to expire?
Jeff, give us a reasonable time period. What do you need? A
I
year?
need can I have 2 years?
Yeah. I'll give you whatever you want. It's up to Mr. Thomas and the...
Can we do
I
2
think
years
2
at
years
once?
would be,
Okay. July 1st, 2024, or September 1st, 2024?
That would be fine, Mr. Chairman.
Any discussion?
Well, let me just to clarify, so, Mr. Reynolds, you had said the planning board, but I think you meant the zoning board.
Zoning
Just
board.
me. And real briefly, what was the nature of the original approval? I know that they acquired, I think, some buildings, and they went to the board to do what? They
bought the property next door to them, it was the flower shop, and then they consolidated the lot with their entire church property, and they had good intentions of potentially expanding the facility as a community center in the future. So they were going to decommission the wells and hook up to the city water, but as things turned out, they don't have any of those future plans anymore, and the water that's currently on site as a well would work for them sufficiently, and there's no reason to make the connections now, since they're not building any buildings or expanding upon anything on the site. So basically, they're just asking to reuse those wells that we said that we would decommission and only use them for irrigation. We've had those wells tested again, and those wells are good for their use, for drinking, and for usage, as they have been used in the past for the existing buildings that are there.
The only thing I would add is, the board it was a condition of the board's approval that they disconnect and connect to water. I think the board, you have the ability to waive your own condition. You don't have the approval to waive if there's any requirements of the health department, for example. You can't waive those. So what I would say is, you might want to have some language to that effect, that, you're only waiving your condition. If there's other requirements, they're still subject to those other requirements.
And as usual, Mark, I totally agree with Mark. We would have to have potable water tests to make sure that everything is according to the Department of Health. We would just ask that you waive that requirement at this time based upon the status of the approval. In the future, if we expand, bring a greater population, then it will be necessary to connect to public.
Okay, that being said, anybody have any questions or motion?
I move to grant the extension for Rutgers Community Christian Church, ZBA 16-00024, as requested.
For 2 years.
For 2 years, until September 1st, 2024.
And does that motion include the modification of that condition that we just spoke of?
Yes.
You need a second?
Second.
Carol Bethia,
Yes.
Joel Reese,
Yes.
Alan Rich,
Yes.
Robert Shepherd,
Yes.
Wasim Verdas,
Yes.
Chairman Thomas.
Yes. Okay, Karen Moore, ZBA 22-00016, the C variance in which the applicant seeks to construct a 10 by 13 sunroom at 46 Renaissance Boulevard, Block 507.02, Lot 98, in the SCV zone.
They need the table and the microphone. They're right behind you. So while the applicant is coming up, I'll give a brief explanation. So this is an application for a 10 by 13 one-story sunroom to the rear of their home. It's in the Renaissance age-restricted community. The required setback is 15 feet. This would be 13 feet as the proposed, so they'd be short 2 feet. The survey that was submitted indicated a required setback of 20. That's actually not that's actually an error. So the required setback is only 15 feet. So again, they're off by 2 feet. It's being proposed to be built on the existing, the footprint of the existing deck. The deck that is there complies because there's a lesser setback for a deck. Now they're putting a roof that's attached to the main structure, so now the larger principal building setbacks apply. You do have a report from the TRC. TRC did not have any comments, but the report does show the location and the height of the proposed sunroom. It also shows the existing, the location of the property, and looks to back up to some common property. They don't have neighbors to the rear. This is a rear yard setback variance. The proposed sunroom complies with the side yard setback. So they do have neighbors to each side, but the sunroom again complies with those setbacks to each side.
And the rear yard setback is a result of making this, to enable this to fit on the concrete pad that exists.
An existing deck, they're building
On a
on an
deck, I
existing
mean.
deck. And again, that deck complied, but when you put the roof on it, now those larger setbacks apply, so that's why they're before you.
Okay, let's swear in whoever wants to speak.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Please use the mic, you have to use the mic.
I do.
Is what Mr. Healy summarized for us correct from your point of view?
Yes.
Is there anything you want to tell us otherwise?
I don't have anything additional to add.
Does the board want to know any other information? We'll open to the public. Is there anyone who'd like to ask a question or make a statement? Then we'll close to the public. We'll take a motion.
I move that we grant Karen Moore C variance to allow them to construct a 10 by 13 sunroom at 46 Renaissance Boulevard, Block 50702, Lot 98.
I second. Cheryl Bethia,
Yes.
Bill Reese.
Yes.
Alan Rich.
Yes.
Robert Shepherd.
Yes.
Vaseem Verdas.
Yes.
And Chairman Thomas.
Yes, good luck with it. You certainly needed a roof this summer, so enjoy it next summer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You are Karen Moore, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
Was I supposed to say I'm Karen Moore?
No, I think it's...
The record will reflect that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Muslim Foundation, ZBA 22-00009, minor subdivision with a D variance in which the applicant proposes to subdivide existing lot into two. There'll be no new construction at this site, 43 Cedar Grove Lane, Somerset, lot 468.09, lots 36 and 37.01 in the R40 zone.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Jim Stahl, again, from Boris Golden Foley in North Brunswick, New Jersey. I represent the applicant, and I have with me this evening Mr. Michael Ford. Mr. Ford, why don't you stand and raise your right hand? He's also...
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. Michael Ford, F-O-R-D.
Okay, I can recite your credentials by this time myself. Just let us know that you're still licensed in the state of New Jersey.
Yes, I am.
And you're going to be, what, planning or just...
Both, Thomas.
Planning
And your
and...
license is both
Yes, sir.
still there? All right, let's move on.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Ford, please identify the property and the request we're making this evening. We'll do the planning at the end, but just tell us what we're doing.
This is a minor subdivision where we're taking 2.5 acres at the rear of our existing facility, a neighboring lot, and subdividing it off that neighboring lot and then adding it to the existing Muslim Foundation facility at lot 3701.
Is there to be any construction on the newly consolidated lot?
No.
And it's just going to remain there until the organization decides to do something in the future, is that correct?
Correct.
And the reason for the D3 conditional use variance is because once the lots are consolidated, I call it an expansion, you might call it a violation or a failure to comply with the buffering requirements. Am I correct?
Correct.
And that's what creates this variance.
Yes.
And the applicant and you have reviewed the staff memo dated August 18, 2022, with regard to the required conditions. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do we have, well, you tell me, we have
No issues.
no
with
issues
the staff
whatsoever as
report,
to that.
The TRCC.
And at such time as the applicant does any further work there, then of course a site plan would be required, which would require any required buffering and landscaping. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, we might as well go right into the planning. Is this a case that you would typically present your normal planning testimony?
What I would say is that all of the use D variances are attributed to the existing facility. This application will take the existing facility, which is on 5.3 acres, and add another 2.5 acres to it, so it'll be increased in size by 150% and become a 7.5 acre lot. None of the existing nonconformities will be exacerbated. In fact, they'll be diminished by this application. That is like lot coverage, building coverage, setbacks to side yard setbacks.
So this is an existing condition which is already there when we consolidate the new lots. Is that correct?
Correct.
So it's impossible for you to testify or find that there are any negative impacts, and you cannot say that there are no positive. It's just status quo. Is that correct?
Well, the application, I think, if anything, would be considered positive because
Okay.
it makes it on a larger lot and diminishes those prior nonconformities.
I mean, there's nothing
No
contrary.
exacerbation
Right.
of what's there now, and no new constructions being proposed.
Well, I have, Mr. Thomas.
Does this, just for informational purposes, potentially create possible variances for a use that might or might not come in the future because of the shape?
In all transparency, I can't say that.
You don't know what it
that-
is?
Yeah. Right.
Do you know why they're doing, do you know why they're doing this?
Yes, to enlarge the parcel for possible future use as the congregation may increase and perhaps for other educational services. Right now, there are nothing on the drawing board, there are no plans to do anything, but they had an opportunity to acquire the property, consolidate it with the existing piece, and that's what we did.
Oh, see, that's important information. So, in other words, when did they, so initially, they owned just, I love this, this is the best little pieces of visual aid I've seen in a while. But, so originally, they owned just Lot 3701.
Correct.
Correct.
And then they had a chance to buy Lot 36, and they bought it.
Yes.
Well, a piece of it.
Only a piece.
Only a piece?
Right, they're getting the rear portion of it.
Oh, okay.
There's a house in the front that-
Who owns the other piece?
That's the Holy Virgin Protection Church.
That's who owns it, but it's a house.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what the visual, the figures in the report, you're right. So figure 2 shows basically the two lots that are right next to each other, 37.01, then lot 36. And then the next figure, figure 3, shows basically that what they want to do is acquire the back portion of lot 36 and add it to their lot. So they would have this kind of L-shaped property with the house remaining on this new lot 36.01. And then the reason and this is somewhat technical, but we call them technical variances. I mean, there's nothing in the law that that says what a technical variance is, but here it's, they are, since now this would be the new site of the mosque and the school, now this is the site that's subject to the conditional use standards. And these
Right.
conditional use standards call for this screening of either 15 feet or 25 feet in a triple staggered row, and they're basically saying, well, we're not proposing anything right now, but they're coming to you for a subdivision, and now that they're making this the site, technically, they're supposed to have that 15 or 20-foot wide buffer, but they're basically saying, we don't know what we're doing yet. Please allow us to do the subdivision without this at this point. Staff is recommending, if you're okay with that, basically that's fine, but you should place a condition that if they do anything on this piece of property, they can't clear, they can't grade, they can't put a, athletic field or anything like that. Once they have plans, then they need to come back to you. It's one thing to allow the land transfer in the subdivision, but if they're doing anything physical, then you need to make a decision of whether screening is required based on what they're doing, based on the nature of the surrounding uses, et cetera, et cetera.
Now, proposed lot 3601, how big is that?
That's 3 acres.
So it's well within the minimal size for the zoning in that particular area. Was it R40 or something like that? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
See, as Mark said, had there not been this requirement for the buffer with the staggered trees, and we wouldn't even, all this would be a planning board function,
Yeah.
which would be a minor subdivision and a re-subdivision.
Actually, Mark said a lot more than that, and I finally understand how he wants us to do this, and I kind of get it.
Yeah, I think it's important that
Yeah, we got to limit what they do.
it shouldn't be cleared unless plans are approved.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, maybe this is, my way of being technical, I guess. I just like assurance as a planner that I know it's a technical variance, we're granting a variance, but assure me that a facility with reasonable use and size could be built on the property and observe, without variances, observe the buffering. Is that? I know you don't have any idea what it might be, but as a planner, do you think the property's big enough that you could build a reasonable facility without any more variances?
Yes.
Doesn't mean you have to, you may come in or whatever, but I just have a small issue with granting a variance to create another variance, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think to the point that makes it even clearer for everybody is if we were to provide that double staggered row of 15 feet buffer around the new property line, we would have to do the clearing of existing vegetation in order to plant trees, which doesn't make sense either. So-
Right, and if there's no clearing to start with, you don't have to worry about it.
I
I'm
want
fine
Mr.
with
Thomas,
it.
to make the board, I want to make it clear in the record that the applicant understands, we had this discussion this morning, that no work can be accomplished on the site, as you said, be it foundations, grading, any work without obtaining necessary site plan approval, and of course thereafter permits. And if we were to come in and ask for variances, which Mike has said we're not going to, I have a self-inflicted hardship argument that the board will make against me. Like, Mr. Stoll, you knew what you were doing. Mr. Thomas put it on the record and you acknowledged it. So, we'll do what we have to do, and my client absolutely understands.
Anything else? Anybody?
Yes. Do you have any easements, exceptions, deviations, liens to the property?
We did a survey, and there were no easements, anything turned up on the lot that we're purchasing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyone? Okay, we'll open to the public. Of the empty seats wish to ask a question, comment? We'll close. I'm assuming you have nothing further to add.
No, sir.
Any comments or motions from the board?
I move that we grant the Muslim Foundation, Inc. A variance to create a subdivision of lots 37.1 and lot 36, resulting in new lots, as explained in the application, lot 3702 and lot 3601. However, I had the language here, hold on. The approval is conditioned upon the requirement that no clearing, grading, disturbance, or construction of any kind may take place on the portion of Lot 36 being consolidated with existing Lot 37.01 until a fully approved site plan has been obtained from either the zoning board or the planning board.
For a second?
Second.
Cheryl Bethia,
Yes.
Joel Reese.
Yes.
Alan Rich.
Yes.
Robert Shepherd.
Yes.
Wasim Verdas.
Yes.
And Chairman Thomas.
Yes, okay.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, we started at 7:31 because of council's requirement. We had the one matter in between, and we're done at 7:58, so I did what you wanted.
We had a 16-minute meeting some time ago, so you still have a goal to shoot for.
But that was pretty good. Hope you have a wonderful weekend and be safe.
When does he make?
I moved to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, everybody, meeting adjourned. Enjoy the rest of your summer and the holiday.
Yeah. I'll tell you, today was...